Hey, Ally. Welcome. How you doing, Emmy?
Hey Ray, I'm fine. How are you?
Good. I think I'm gonna. Hey, Michelle. I was just about to say we're gonna have a Dharma talk, the three of us.
Oh,
I didn't get an email with the link.
Well, that's cool. Hey, Scott. How did you find us then?
When I signed up, it gave a link and I saved it and closed that page.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea, and I thought that's what was happening. That everyone got also a like today would get a refreshing. It's today kind of thing.
Yeah.
You guys didn't get one.
I did.
Oh, yeah, you did. All right. So maybe it was in your spam because that's what I thought we're doing. Dr. Mark, welcome.
Hey Ray, how are you?
I'm really good. I'm happy to see you, my brother.
Thanks.
I just had these flashes of sailing in the Virgin Islands. You remember that sailing trip? That was so awesome.
It was great.
And what did we do? And then we went to Peru.
We did, yeah. You count that, yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool. Well, it's good to see you, brother
It's an
Mark.
endless journey.
It's good to see you, Scott. Hey,
Ray.
Namaste. I'm so happy you're on board and just heard all this such good stuff from Nina about you and your dedication to the martial arts and all that. So you're in a good place, with more to come.
Yeah.
We got a few minutes. I don't know. I think we had like 95 people or more register. And I just, all this is kind of new, so we're just watching how it unfolds. And for now, welcome, brother Leo. I'm more than happy. That's an interesting art behind you. I'm trying to figure out what that is, Leo. A flame.
Horse.
Hi,
Horse?
Leo. It's a horse. Okay.
It's a horse, yes. A
All
pair of
right.
paws and a horse, yes. It's not complicated.
Not at all. I made up different shapes. Well, so welcome, Leo. And I guess it's enough of us to say, you could say hi to each other and kind of get to know each other. Leo just, yes, Emmy, go ahead, please.
I don't know why, but the last few messages I've gotten from you guys has come into my iCloud account, which I don't usually use. I use Gmail, and I wonder if that might be happening to other people, or if other people said they haven't gotten the message.
Who else here tonight? Did you guys get a message tonight about a reminder about the Dharma talk? Yep.
I did.
Yep. I wonder if it's just, I will check MENC. I think we're using the email address that you sent when you registered for this year's training. I think. So you never gave us an iCloud address. You just gave us your, what is Gmail or what is it?
I typically use Gmail, and you're not the only person. Somebody else sent me something that went to iCloud, so I'm not sure why. I just check it now, but I didn't know if it might affect other people as well, or just me.
It's Mercury retrograde.
I feel it.
All hands up, all shamans hands up. It's just like, we were like, awesome. Just 1 week before we launched the training, when we really want to communicate to a lot of people that we're starting, it's like, it's probably not going to happen. I've learned not to be frustrated, to learn to smile and let things go. So we'll give you a few more minutes. I'm in some ways happy that it's only the six of us. You all know me enough to know that I don't think it's in the numbers, but it's in the quality of people. So I'm happy, and maybe we'll change it up a little. I'll talk a little bit about what I prepared, which I prepared 20 years ago or 20 minutes ago. I don't remember which one it is. 20 minutes ago, I realized that I need to talk about the practices, about yoga, shamanism, and martial arts. Just kind of give a light on them, on what they are and how they're used and how we can view them. I feel in some ways it's funny enough. It's a new realization of what these are for the planet, what they've been for humanity. And again, I find it strange that it's only us. I hope that there's no, I mean, if you guys received this email today and you linked in, that means that everyone received the same thing. And I know we had 95, 98 people. So
Ray?
yes, Leo.
No, it's Mark.
Mark,
It
please.
did ask for a password. So I don't know if that's something new for your programs.
Yeah, and I
Well,
struggled a little bit.
So, yeah, so I had to go back and look it up.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is basically what Zoom has set up. It's, I guess, because a lot of people were crashing into courses or there was like weird stuff happening. You have two choices. You either have a waiting room. So I introduce every person that's waiting in the room and I bring everyone in, or people can have a password. If you got the password, everyone else did.
Hey, Ray, can you look at your email right now? I'm just curious to know if people are having trouble getting through that password, because I was trying to get on early and it took me a few minutes to figure it out. I was going to send you an email, and there may be others that were stuck and reached out.
Well, that's great, because as I was just about to look at my email, I saw Megan Stetson coming on board. Hey, Megan. And hi, Nancy, and hi, Nina Henriksen. Look at these people down here. 3 wonderful women.
Oh,
Hey,
all
Nancy.
stars.
Hey, Nina. Erica, how you doing? So a question for you, Megan, is before I jump in and to share a little bit in today's talk. Hey, how you doing, Nina? We're having a discussion a little bit here with the beloved Jaguars about why we had I think what I heard was 95 people registered, but we're only us. And the conversation was about that some people, it was hard for them to get the
passcode.
The password and get it.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I'm jumping on. I'm going to go behind the scenes and take care of that, but you can begin if you'd like.
Awesome.
All right.
You
Awesome.
send an email out or whatever you want, my love.
All right. Enjoy.
Right.
Good to see everybody.
Thank you, Ninaho. All right, let us open sacred space to center ourselves. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Return inward. And as you return inward, take a moment and see if you can notice stillness and silence. A vast space inside of stillness. And see if you can recognize that and recognize the place where there's a lot of things happening. There's thoughts, there's emotions. There's actually echo of emotions and things that happened earlier today or yesterday, or still feeling sensations in your body from something that happened a year ago or 10 years ago. And within, allow the sacred space to bless, to transform, to shift anything that is not serving you, anything that doesn't feel like it's expansive and evolutionary. To the winds of the south, great serpent Amaru, be here with us. Wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us how to shed our skin and let go of the past, and allow us to be grounded, to feel grounded, and to feel into Mother Earth, to feel this planet as a mother, as a living being, like you do, belly to belly with her. Be here, serpent, allow us to shift and change. Horpichai. To the winds of the west, Otorongo, great jaguar, pace between us, amongst us. Move between all the beautiful jaguars and all the beautiful people who are here tonight. Allow your heartbeat to echo in our heartbeat. Allow us to begin to move with no fear in this world or the next. Allow us to move with no fear in the way we think, in the way we feel into the world, in the way we walk in the world. Horpichai. The winds of the north, beloved sweet Colimbri hummingbird, be here. Allow us to recognize and remember sweetness and nectar. And beloved ancestors, be here. Allow us to feel you tonight. Allow for everything that's heard to be aligned with the teachings of centuries. Allow for each and every one of us to awaken within us the teachings that we need to have, the powers and the way of being. Horpichai. And to the winds of the east, great condor and eagle, rise above, soar, invite us, teach us how to fly above and see the greater picture of our lives, and from there make better informed decisions, have clear vision of our destiny and where we want to be clear and have discernment on who's around us, who's close to us, next to us, who do we want to keep close to us, who we want a little space from, to really see how we can move with clarity, discernment, and power. And Pachamama, sweet Mother Earth, Horbichai. Mother Earth, sweet Pachamama, thank you for holding us all in the same space. Thank you for giving us the elements to build a body, the elements to sustain our body, to nourish it, and thank you for giving us a home to return our body to when we are all gone, when we decide to leave. Thank you, Mother Earth, for your rivers, your lakes, your seas, your forests, your sweet, sweet abundance. Thank you for your diversity and for all the fruits and vegetables. Thank you for everything you've given us. May we awaken to start healing you. Horpichai. Intitaita, Mama Killa, Father Sun, Grandmother Moon, thank you. Thank you, Father Sun, for being so real as an all life-giving God. That power that gives us the light of photosynthesis so we can exist along with every other sentient being, every blade of grass, tree, every animal, every being, the whole planet itself. And Mama Killa, Grandmother Moon, thank you for your sweetness. Thank you for your silver night light. Thank you for your quality of reflecting and looking. Thank you for the grandmother, beautiful love that you give us and afford us. Thank you how you hold us. Horpichai. And inviting your hands to your heart, bow, chin to heart. Thank yourself in the center of all these 6 directions. Thank yourself for everything that you do for your healing evolution. Thank yourself for everything you do for helping others to heal. And if you wish to, you can bow deeper to any god or goddess, saint or avatar or even power animal. Bow to Saint Joseph, who has been with me the last 2 months, 3 months, next to me and my father while he transitioned. Thank you, Saint Francis, for always being with me. And thank you, Hanuman, for your service, for teaching me service. And gently inhale and rise and open your eyes. Welcome, namaste once again. And I love it. Watch how sacred space. Every time I open sacred space and then I open my eyes, there's more people around me. And then there's someone that does magic behind the scenes. Thank you, Nina. Thank you. Hey, welcome, Patty. Welcome, Linda, Emily. Welcome, Sue, Dilla, and Dina. All right. Well, I'm going to keep a little space today for any questions, but as it is a Dharma talk, I guess in theory in these discussions we've had both with Nina and Megan as we were hashing out these ideas and what we really want to do, what's nice for us to be able to offer and to support, what's a good way for the Jaguar Path to just start giving to the world as a thank you. The Dharma talks were up, and then we said, what defines a Dharma talk? And I guess more or less it's a talk about something that's useful for people to discover their Dharma. And the format is usually just me talking. And I will speak a little, and I will open it for a Q&A today. I feel that interactive is always more useful. And I know that when I first started working with Don Manuel, Portugal, I was so excited that I had found my my teacher that I would ask him about 1,000 questions, or to be realistic, 20 or 30 questions in a day. It's just like, and then each question was hours. And a lot of times we were together till through the night and through dawn to go over the material. Today will be only 45 minutes though. So here we are. So I want to speak today to, as the Jaguar Path is progressing and expanding, both in the places of the world and how many people are joining us and reaching out from different places. We also, of course, as we joined our paths and our lives together with Nina, we've brought in, of course, if you've noticed more and more, I'm saying the Jaguar Path now is a school of yoga, shamanism, and martial arts. And I am very happy. Many of you may already know, in the 90s, I did martial arts. And in 2000, I met yoga. So I kind of forgot martial arts and really took a deep dive into yoga. And by 2006, I met shamanism and took a huge dive in bringing those two together. And for over the last 3 years that we've been together with Nina, of course, martial arts came right back in. And I love it. I love that Nina is a master on her own right. And I can be a student and a beginner. And I love getting back into it because I did several years, close to a decade of martial arts, Kung Fu and Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong. And actually that's what I thought I would be doing, that I would be teaching that. Yoga didn't exist in Greece, or existed really very little. And by 2000, when someone said, do you want to do yoga? I had an image of someone meditating. I thought that's what yoga was. 2000, I didn't have a clue that asana existed. I find it so funny. Of course, yoga was, at least back then in 2000, way behind the United States and other countries where it had really taken off. I say this as an introduction to talk about these three and talk about what they really are. And again, it's in some ways coming out of our conversations, because this is all we talk about, mostly, with Nina. It's just like, what is this we're doing? And these, I think we've discovered, or realized, I should say, we didn't discover it, but realized that these three, yoga, shamanism, and martial arts, are the most ancient sciences of the world. Yoga, shamanism, martial art are the people, the men and women that, and we're looking at shamanism as what starts showing up first in tombs. We go like 20,000 years back. We're starting to see some rattles or cord cutting knives or different symbolisms that clearly show that there was reference to ceremony and understanding that ceremony is a way of living and something we bring in our everyday life. And, you know, when we say shaman, we mean the knower, the word itself that has become most popular around the world right now, or in the United States, the Western world, shaman. Because there's different names for shamans, right? Sorcerers, naguals, brujos, curanderos, and a lot more. The list goes, druids, the list goes on, depending on what area of the world you go in. But I feel that, again, the big realization is that these are the first three sciences. With that coming up, what you have is the shamans, which in the Tungusic language, original word means the knower. So what we're having is the first human beings, and I feel there's a big churn when we're like Homo sapien, Homo erectus, where we stand up and we now we receive this prefrontal cortex. These men and women with the more advanced prefrontal cortex are able now to think in a very different way. They've realized compassion, empathy. They've realized intuition, and they've realized that they have the ability to remember and to learn. So instead of being in a constant change of scenes, like perhaps how we were as Neanderthal, more mammalian-like, it's just what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing in every second. Now there's more and more an understanding that I could see more, like I can remember things from yesterday and I can project into the tomorrow and plan accordingly. where before we lived only minute to minute, second to second, depending on if there was a predator in front of us or if we were chasing a smaller, we were the larger predator. And so life was basically really being eaten or eating. And as now we're beginning to add, well, I can think also that evolutionary moment is huge. And I feel these are the men and women now that begin to, you see historically what happens is that Taoism in ancient China is beginning to show up. And it's really clear because we can start seeing signs 7,000 years ago, or excuse me, 7,000 years BC, right? And where the first Taoists begin to talk about how do you cope with life? How do you deal with it? And one of the problems that existed was, of course, that there were several groups of Neanderthals that would attack a village, take the food, take everything, just like really destroy things and then leave. And so the Taoist shamans began to say, well, we need to find a technology. They watched movement, and especially a lot of what we talk about and what Nina talks about is that they're watching movement of animals. So we have tiger claw, and we have eagle claw, which was a style I used to train in, or you have, you know, the dragon's tail swipe, and then you monkey style. You have all these animal ways that the Taoists sat for hours and days and years and really studied and picked up clarity from the motor system and the way these animals moved, their limbs, and how they found their balance when they would fall. So they created martial arts through it as a way and a need to survive. And as they also created the martial arts as a need to survive, to defend themselves from what later on started becoming more and more like, what's the word? I don't want to say gangs, but groups of people that were like pirating in a way. They were like attacking villages. As they started creating this, they also now began to see that, wow, this is awesome. We can protect ourselves through these movements. Because the shamans realize, and this is something really wild when you get into martial arts, when you discover it's really wild, because one of the things that the martial arts saw was that when people were moving really fast, it's an illusion, and you can move really slow, and the slow but calculated movement can reach faster than the fast uncalculated movement. I'm hoping I'm saying all this. I know I'm going to have a lot of feedback later tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. So when we do Tai Chi, and a lot of you I see we're in the Tai Chi series with Nina, it's like, wow, this is really slow. But it's amazing when someone is like really running at, like, to harm or to take something, and you just very slowly do a movement of reflecting or redirecting. It's amazing how fast that can seem, because you're essentially using the speed of the opponent. And you don't have to do it fast. You just have to do it right. And you don't have to be all excited about it. You just have to be centered. And within that, there's a precision that's beginning to build. And I love the martial arts. It's like throughout my whole life, I loved martial arts. And I just love the precision. And then they become so precise that you have these legends that are beginning to appear through different places that are given almost superhuman qualities and stories that you hear, and you can kind of see that reflected in some of those martial arts movies, right? Men and women flying over from rooftop to rooftop, etc. What some martial arts can do, several martial artists can do, is amazing. And I think it's the same for yoga. It's just like, even watching my practice at 56, there's postures I could do where it was nowhere close at 30 and 40. I could at 45, I just could not do these things. It seemed that that's not going to be something I'm going to be doing in my life. So that alone makes me start thinking of how that is. It's like, how do I believe that I could not get in there? And how at the same time, by believing and by just practicing every day, almost every day, how these postures just appeared with almost with ease, right? All you need is the commitment. And I'm just going to bring it home and bring it back to the martial arts and say that the martial artists with the shamans, the Taoists are shamans. The Taoists that created martial arts and acupuncture are the shamans of China. And while they started looking at animals and learning how to fight or how to move, they also watched what the animals ate when they were sick. So they started experimenting with plants. And hence we have Chinese medicine that is just so rich in the herbs and how they use it. And Chinese medicine is unchanged for the last 9,000 years. The recipes are still the same. May it be cancer, may it be a headache, may it be from the slightest thing to the most difficult, complicated thing. These medicines work. And I'll just leave it at that. And I'm going to say that they created the medicine because, again, these men and women that created shamanism and they created Taoism and martial arts and acupuncture realized that life is hard, so we need ways to defend ourselves. But also, the more we became into this world of thinking and being, the more that we cultivated our prefrontal cortex and hence automatically just the idea of thinking, the more we had time and the ability to start feeling, right? Because 5,000 years ago, the feelings we had, or 10,000 years ago, the feelings we had was like really happy, I'm eating something, really afraid because something is chasing me. And maybe something very little in between, but it had to do with pure survival and it wasn't fine-tuned emotions. But through all this, again, centuries of evolution, and especially in the centuries where we're tweaking thinking process, we're deepening our understanding of who we are, what the other person is, what the sunset is, what a sunrise is, the feeling I have when I'm swimming or when I'm seeing a bird or an animal. All these sensations begin to cultivate us into having finer, if you want, emotions. I know, not for everyone, but anyway. So here we are, and then there's a moment that this is moving down from throughout Mongolia, shamanism, throughout China, Taoism, and martial arts. And we have at some point about 5,000 to 6,000 years, the birth of yoga. And again, some say it was coming directly from the martial artists. And I want to say could or not, it doesn't matter. It came from those same thinkers who now begin to realize a few more things that are really, really important. That we are now beginning, that we are holding, there's a realization that we're holding the memory of events in our body. And we are living basically in our body, right? So we're all here, even tonight, with our bodies in front of a camera. And we all go throughout life, maybe, returning back to our loved ones at night after work, or playing with our children, or taking a walk, swimming, or working. We really live life in our body. And yoga is the one that really just honed it in and said, well, and what else is living in my body? It's this brain. One of my organs records memory and kind of like repeats stories, and it can help me learn things because it can learn a new language or a new technology of some sorts of or art or craft. And I can recognize in my brain, I can remember all that. And they also recognize that, wait a minute, there's something else that's living in this body, and that's really the true me. And in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see self written with a capital S and self written with a lowercase s. The capital S refers to the soul itself. Right? That I have come, this soul has come into this body and is having this experience through the body's physicality and through the brain's intellectual view of these experiences that I'm having. Everyone with me? So, yeah, yoga, mind, body, spirit. Thank you. Thank you. Now, these three I've come to really realize is that in essence, they're the most ancient sciences. I mean, and there's a couple things to that I want to say is that one, as modern people, we think that science was born only 100 years ago. Or even 300 years, whatever it was, with Newton, etc. But science is anything that is a study of circumstances and a study of behavior. Science is something that is a study of. And not only are they the first three sciences, but the real awesome thing about what I feel, the awe-striking, I should say, thing about these three sciences is that they study the human species. They're the first three studies and sciences of the human species. And they all three, both the shamans, the martial artists, and the Taoists, and the yogis, really just dive really deep in. And the more I study, the more I'm discovering how much they're all saying the same stuff. Because they try to go back into, back or up or in, whatever you want to call it, into source. It's like, why do we even exist? Why can I even ask the question why? How do I realize myself or others? And later on we have Socrates, who says, know thyself and you shall know the secrets of the universe and all the gods. Just so I can at least once say I'm Greek. And when Socrates says that, and Socrates is referred to as a shaman, and so is Pythagoras, who created the rectangle, right? And the rectangle, to say, is an understanding of space that Pythagoras saw. The 1 point, what was the number? It's the golden number. It's the 1.6444 or whatever it was, something like that. Please look it up. But the thing is that the rectangle that we're looking at, your whole screen and all these little rectangles, you see, these are set from Pythagoras 2,500 years ago. They're set as the golden rule that is like just perfect for the eye to take in the world. And if you really lay down your screen or any one of these little rectangles, you are going to see the exact ratio that the Acropolis has, how the foundation of the Acropolis was built in all buildings. And when we go to the movies or TVs, everything is really just is following that golden rule, and it really works for us. Because again, Pythagoras was yet another shaman, and Pythagoras especially is referred to as a shaman from many different ways and places. Right? And he created geometry, etc. But I'll stick to the three more ancient ones, and I'm going to say that as a Westerner thinking, knowing thyself and trying to figure it out, know thyself and you shall know the secrets of the universe and of all the gods. It's just like, what does that even mean? I mean, how would I know what's happening out in the universe or what all the gods are thinking about? And in essence, and who am I? What does that even mean, know thyself? And for a very long while, I thought it was about knowing about my personality. But it goes behind that. And that's what these three ancient sciences are doing. They're going behind, before we've created our ego or my identity, before I created identity as Ray, or before we started creating our identity as human beings. They talk about a structure. It is really clear to all of these three sciences that for me to think, the brain, that gray matter that we call it, is a structure. It's matter, and in there is electrons and electricity that is moving, creating different sparks, and these sparks are thoughts. And synapses is two neural pathways meet, and when they meet, they go, and that's a thought, and it's literally a spark. And that's why it's not a coincidence that when an idea, when it comes to our brain, is depicted with a light bulb turning on. Because that's exactly what happens when we have ideas or thoughts, words or stories come to our mind. There's a lot of these sparks lighting up. So again, to say this, that Socrates is saying, know thyself, he really meant that we need to understand what we are as a species, what we all are, what we are as a being. So what is its structure? What is its chemistry? How does it work? And then when I do begin to know all this, after 20 years of being steeped in this practice, I know 20 years is not a lot of time. It has been for me. This is what I've put in so far. I do know a lot more about myself. And one of the things that I can say is that I definitely don't spin around myself for a lot of things that I used to be boggled by. I definitely don't get hurt from a lot of things that hurt me, that used to hurt me. I definitely don't get angry at all for a lot of things that could and did make me angry. I'm definitely, so the secret of the universe is like, I'm rising above that, those smaller parts of what my ego brain thought or what my endocrine system felt. I know now that I'm aware that, hey, when someone says, oh, I came to your yoga class and I really didn't like it at all. And I think that's a good example because it can be very personal. And I don't know that it's ever happened, maybe. But if it does, and it would happen, I would really realize like that moment, maybe 20 years ago, I would be like all insecure because I didn't know myself and the secrets of the universe. I would try to see, it's like, what could I do better? Or, oh my God, you didn't like it. Or then I would go home and tell Nina and just try to like, or get angry about it, or get sad, or get like, go in this havoc of emotions. And for me now, it's more like when things come at me, from a silly example as that, or all the way to the loss of my father recently, it meets me in a different place. When things in life are happening, I am not directly and immediately reacting, but rather I see them through the filters of the teachings of yoga, through the yamas and the niyamas. I feel them through the filters of the martial arts and of Tai Chi. And I definitely lean into a lot of shamanism for the fire ceremony that we did to honor my father passing, for the cord cuttings or different tools that I used both to feel and honor his passing, and also tools that I used to help him for his transition. So I was not caught in the world of ego meaning not egotistic, but rather that singular ego. First of all, is a Greek word, it means I. And that I is a moment of separation from all others. Ego means when I'm the center of the world and everything else is separate of me. And so that is more and more being like, disappears. It's easier and easier for me to find myself in the neighborhood of I'm feeling through Shiva, or I'm feeling through Hanuman, I'm feeling through Christ, I'm feeling through Magdalene, I'm feeling through Mother Mary. I'm feeling these experiences that are happening through other filters that are higher than just Ray's view of the world. I'm tapping into the gods and the universe, and I'm more and more there. And again, these are the sciences that instead of breaking down smaller stuff like other sciences did, which is awesome, so we know what each thing is doing in life, but these sciences really honed in and focused on what it means to be a human being. And they all three, shamanism, yoga, and martial arts, are studies of our neurology, endocrinology, and I'm not sure if you know this or not, there's deep studies in martial arts about how internal organs work, how the endocrine system secretes hormones, and what does that mean when they're secreted? What does that mean to my reality or my way of thinking or how I view the world? And it's the same thing with yogis, a very deep study. And they've found 72,000 channels in the body that they've defined, yogis. This is 7,000 years ago. There's a description of 72,000 channels and what each channel does and how it does it. So we have a really and with no microscope, mind you, right? And on the other hand, still all three yogi, shamans, and martial artists, we have a deep, amazing knowledge of astrology. And again, thousands of years ago now, without telescopes, they know exactly where the planets are, where the positions are, and what is happening to people like today and Mercury retrograde. I'm glad we all were able to get in. We had 95 people registered. I'm glad you guys were able to get in. Mercury retrograde, we said, yeah, sure, that would be fun. So basically, I'm going to sum up this and open it to questions, and I'm going to say what they all say, yogis, shamans, and martial artists, is really important, is that the gravitational fields are at play in the physical body. The biggest gravitational fields are all the stars around the planet. There's push and pulls, there's tugs and taps, there's times they move backwards when we say retrograde or move forward. And we are totally connected like puppets, these thousands or 72,000 of strings that come to us. And depending on what's happening to the universe, we're also feeling all that. And with It's just the sensation, and also just like look at the moon, which is not even a star, when it's full, how it can affect you, our cycle, our psychological cycle for men or women, or even the moon cycle for women, or how it affects these big bodies of water. We watch here in a Blue Spirit, we're looking at the tide, how it goes high up in full moons, and how far back the water goes in the new moon. So in essence, we're talking about a study that is really tapping into realism, because what happened later on, and I'm going to try to skip the Middle Ages. I feel that I've shared some stuff, some with you guys, with many of you, that how we went into the Dark Ages and that darkness that took magic away, the persecuted magic, the persecuted women and animals. But these three arts are basically hymns to the feminine, because we realize that matrix, mana, is mother, and the universe is feminine. the earth is feminine, the moon is feminine. They are giving birth, and it is the feminine we first need to honor, because we would not be here without the feminine. And they're also realizing and sharing with us more detailed, again, ways that the body works and functions. And to get to know thyself is to understand how predictable I can be. Because I used to think that I would get angry and feel so right about something because I had studied something, and because my parents were really good people, and I had really was raised with the right values, etc., or my religion, or whatever it was. But that's not why I get angry. I get angry because adrenaline or cortisol is spilling through my body, and now I'm shaking and angry. All right. I may be triggered because something doesn't align with what I've learned as a right way of being, or as the values of the religion I may have grown up with. I did not grow up with a religion, parenthetically speaking. I grew up in a non-religious family. But whatever it is that I'm feeling, when I feel angry, when I feel sad, when I'm crying, when I'm laughing, when I feel really happy, when I'm skipping along, and I'm being carefree. Where are my carefree people, friends? Those are new chemicals I'm running through my body. And they are determining, or all these chemicals are constantly determining how I'm feeling, the world around me. So what I've learned through some of my Chinese medicine studies, but even more through yoga and definitely through shamanism and applying in our martial arts now, is that I get to control the secretion of the emotions through my blood flow. Yeah, someone said something that was terrible, but you know what? That's what they did. How much of that is going to penetrate my luminous field? How much of that is going to trigger my endocrine system? How much of that I am going to hold and say, well, I just got this huge amount of energy and now I'm stuck with it. And for 20 years, I'm going to be hating this person or saying how bad that experience was, is really up to me. And I'm not saying this that we should, it's just really important for us to know that a big part of our emotions that can be right, even if they're really, really right, and 10 or 100 friends of us would agree with us, it doesn't mean we need to hold them and live our life because of 1 or 2 or 10 experiences. The difficult ones and the hard ones and the totally wrong ones that shouldn't have happened to us. I pray for all those who have been wronged. I pray for all those who have been hurt. I pray for Ray, even that hurt when I was diagnosed, and they said, you'll live for 90 days. That was painful. But I've also learned that there was a lot of times I would be angry at someone, or in a separation, that I'd hold it for 3 and 5 and 10 years. And it's just like, basically I've learned to bring it to this point through all these 3 sciences, that I have the ability, and when I've been given the tools and I can actually do yoga postures, and it doesn't matter if I can put my leg around my head or not, even if I just do a warrior or a warrior 2 or warrior 1 or a namaste, I am beginning to mechanically start regulating that endocrine secretions in my body. And with the shamanic tools, like all that anger I had, or I used to have this contract that I had made in my brain that I will never be loved, or I will never be a great person, because I decided that at 7, I made a contract. But I learned from shamanism that I can write that down and put it in the fire. Nice fireplace I see there. We could burn some old contracts. Thank you, Linda. And since I started burning contracts, and then since I started knowing that the persons that hurt me, I could cut cords with, and then since I started knowing that I could do Tai Chi and really start regulating the flow of energy through my meridians and how my internal organs were functioning and working, really massaging my internal organs, I started finding a greater peace within me and realizing greater peace around me. And I started being able to see these three, again, sciences allow us to come into this place where we can see the world from what we call Condor's view, from a higher place, and see what's happening, either in a situation that's confronting me, or maybe, and unfortunately, the whole humanity as well, watches, like I can be up in the moon and I'm watching at humanity and what humanity is going through. So that ability to override allows us, all these three sciences, the unique sciences, first, prehistoric sciences, right? What even helped humans cultivate the prefrontal cortex to come up with the idea of the word science later on. What even allowed and created the grounds for people to feel, to understand that there's a greater power, what really paved the way to create religions. It's pre-religion. None of these are religion. And there wasn't any religion idea of religion for Taoists, yogis, or the shamans. And I will talk to how they evolved to having a lot of gods, especially in yoga. But the essence is that these sciences allow us, when we start practicing these practices, we mechanically change our reality. And I say mechanically, and I know for many years I was resisting that word, reading Gurdjieff. Does anyone know Gregory Gurdjieff? Gregory Gurdjieff. He was this Greek-Russian in the 1800s who did the same job I'm doing. He brought yoga and shamanism together. I thought I was the only one. Gregory Gurdjieff was an amazing shaman. He was the teacher of Rasputin. Maybe you guys remember Rasputin. Does anyone remember Rasputin? That song in the 70s. He was the lover of the Russian queen. Rasputin was a shaman. He was trained by Gurdjieff. But Gurdjieff really points out how shamanism and shamans really awakened the rest of the humanity and allowed for progression, while at the same time, those who would not progress and were hungry for power created politics, and I'll just say it, and religions that excluded others and created different points of views and created that lack of understanding of oneness, because I am every single one of you in this screen, and every single one of you is every other person in this screen. We are all having the same experience right now. And it doesn't matter that my parents called me Ray, or that I'm 56, or I'm a man. We are all in every cell of our body, in our DNA, from our bones to our bone marrow, to our DNA itself. We share the same DNA. We share the same cells. And actually, some scientists also say we all share cells from Christ, because when we die, our cells move throughout the whole planet, and they're indestructible, right? The atoms are indestructible. So we rebuild our bodies with the same cells that keep on recycling. The ashes to ashes, dust to dust, it moves through the rain, it rains again, and I get to collect these atoms to rebuild the body that's been around here for centuries. And in so many ways, we all have the same emotions, same feelings, same wants, same needs. So these are the three sciences that allow us to grow out of the walls of our personality and allow us to really mature out of a short-sighted way of being, which says, me, not you, I hit you with a club, I take your food and run. It's just like we're moving hopefully further and further out of that. We have not, Krishnamurti, anyone know Krishnamurti? Any hands? Krishnamurti, one of the other great, beautiful teachers of this planet, did say, we have not evolved, we have only evolved technologically, we have not evolved psychologically. We are still Neanderthals. That was when in his 80s. Krishnamurti, I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to open it to questions, was a person that there was a great school of thinkers in India, and they all got together. I'm sorry, there's one woman that was really ahead of her times in the 70s, and I'm sorry I forget her name, Madame something, and she said, we need to cultivate an enlightened person. We need to cultivate a Christ. We'll find a person and we're going to make this person be like Christ or like the Buddha. And they found this 14-year-old. There was several people in the school of thought in India, and there were several literary people, several PhDs. This was in the 20s, early 20s, early 1900s. And they decided that they picked one of the professor's son when he was 12. And the 12-year-old got to study with the top people in Ayurveda and yoga and philosophy and mathematics and everything. And Krishnamurti was created an awesome human being and a wonderful teacher. So there is a part that is true, that we have not evolved. We're still Neanderthals. And you could see it when, you hit someone with a club and you take their food. It's the same thing as bombing someone and taking their oil. There's no difference whatsoever in those two actions. I mean, one is worse because it's bigger now. So we're more Neanderthal in some ways than we used to be. But putting that aside, thank God there's yoga, shamanism, and martial arts, and they are the light that we can receive even still in the modern world, and it's awesome how they're spreading and how there's just so much more and more there available for each one of us to cultivate within ourselves. And thus, as we cultivate the art within ourselves, as a byproduct, we're cultivating a more centered human being, a more compassionate centered human being, a person that his thoughts are more live in discernment and not separation, live in giving to others and helping others, and prioritizing those in need more, etc. So hopefully through these arts, we'll see them more and more expand and flourish, and hopefully we will see a shift of consciousness towards that direction, the direction of making a safer planet. I don't think that everyone needs to study all these. Like I look at David Attenborough. Does anyone know David Attenborough? David Attenborough, you've definitely heard him, even if you don't know the name. If you've seen any Planet documentary or National Geographic from the 60s, he has done an amazing service to the planet. And please check out his last documentary that's called Our Planet. It's very shamanic, if you ask me. So I invite you to just view these, and if you're practicing yoga, go deeper into what you're feeling and thinking and the finer sensations in the body, as that's what we're cultivating. We're being more cultivated, which means I'm finer tuning emotions and thoughts. Or if you're doing the Tai Chi, or if you're going into shamanic practices, view them as a modern person. That's a big thing, that we don't have to change. I don't have to be weird. I have, for setting up today, I had rattles, bells. My beloved Nina brought my shaman's hat, which Sebastian makes me wear with some of you have seen me with it. I wear it proudly, but I also don't want to offend anyone or be like, oh, that's cultural appropriation. It's a whole other conversation. But I really want to point out through what we're sharing is that we can become all this as modern people. It's not either we're going to be weird and act like we differently. I think we could just act like we should in the modern world, but bring in all these qualities and all these technologies. Act more balanced in the modern world, So I'm going to open it to a couple questions. I see somehow I talk for 53 minutes right there. I tend to do that. But does anyone have any question? Thanks for the smiles, appreciate it. Any question or even comment? There's something in the chat box, I'll check it out. Okay, I'm glad everyone found the link. Mercury retrograde. Okay, I'm gonna bring it home a little bit and say this about these. I don't know why, but it feels like it's gonna bring me something new that's gonna show up in the next months or year. We're gonna have new thoughts, newer ones come up later on, or the new thoughts and new emotions in myself and my body allow for a ground for newness in several levels, emotional and for my work or from my relationship with my son, with my wife. So it's a new realization, and it may be obvious to everyone else, but again, this is the realization is exactly what I shared, that these three sciences are prehistoric, and they're really the ones that awaken humanity, and they can still awaken humanity. All three, especially shamanism, was chased out in the Middle Ages by the Spanish Inquisition. Martial arts were really attacked by Mao Zedong in 1961 when he created that communist dictatorship, and he said all religions are the opium of the planet, thinking it's a religion. Later on, after he killed thousands and hundreds of thousands of monks in these monasteries, he realized that no, it's not a religion, it's just good for your health. And then he made everyone in China do Tai Chi every morning. But we've lost great minds and we lost a lot of information that was written in scrolls in the monasteries. And yoga, I can tell you in 2002, when I started in 2000 yoga, I was doing Ashtanga, and I really got into the Ashtanga. I really loved it and really did practice every day. And I helped my teacher bring Sarat Joyce, the grandson of Patabi Joyce, who is the creator of Ashtanga Yoga, who now holds the lineage and still alive and is still a teacher. Well, we brought him over, and we had rented this public school in a village on an island, because we found that school had a little gymnasium, and it was cool because we fitted something like 75 people. And it was for 7 days. On the third day, the church got whiff of us being there and said we were bringing the devil to the island and to the village, and that what we were doing was against the word of God or whatever, because we were like doing yoga. It's just like, so yoga has been really persecuted also, and has been has been persecuted, but they still all three are alive and they thrive. And again, my take on it, and as I invite you to look deeper into all these three, and which parts of them you want to use and how much of each, they bring realization to the structure of the body. My brain is not separate from my endocrine system. My brain is actually is defined by my endocrine system. My brain is functional. The thoughts that I have are predetermined by my nervous system. And the actions I take, the words I say, they're more mechanical. I was trying to remember why I mentioned Gurdjieff. He says, we're mechanical. We move around like robots. And that was really progressive in 1900s to say the word robot and mechanical. It was all new. But it's true. We're very mechanical. And you see there's some things that trigger you. You don't think, now I'm going to get angry because I disagree with this point of view of the world. It's happening to you. And then the thoughts start happening. And then you say why you're angry. And then you start putting relish around the story and making yourself more and more angry, or more and more sad, or more and more whatever. So the thought is a really start viewing your mind as something that comes last, and as it's an awesome organ. I don't know if it's considered a vital organ. I guess it is. It's an awesome vital organ. But there's something all these three, and I'll bring it home with this, that all these three talk about, and it's a technology of understanding the heart as an organ. And the heart as an organ is really clear to all of them. I want to say especially the Taoists, martial artists, the acupuncturists. But it's true for yogis. That's where I've studied it and realized it more. And definitely is in the heart of shamanism. They understand that our heart has this. Harvard Medical came up with this about a decade ago, or maybe some 12 years ago, that they realized that the heartbeat is different from one to the next. And to be more specific, the space between heartbeats is slightly different. And this is nanoseconds, right? Now that we have these timers that can count with many zeros, 0.00000 of a second, nanoseconds, they realize that there is this, I feel it like it's almost like, it's playing a drum beat. So when I come close to someone that is not safe for me, that is beginning to change. It's called heart rate variability, HRV, known as HRV, heart rate variability. And when that changes, it's sending signals directly from the heart as the first biggest, also referred to essentially, I guess I can't call it a gland, but it does secrete a hormone, BHP. And it gives a signal directly to the pituitary gland, which is the governor of glands, and then the rest of the glands follow suit. So all these three technologies teach us how to use this part of ourselves to recognize what is happening in every moment and act from this place, not just as a romantic act from your heart, but an understanding that the heart is an organ. Here's something else Harvard Medical told us, is that 60% of the cells of our heart are basically brain cells. We are actually thinking here. And no one has told us, because everyone has told us for centuries, especially in the 60s and 70s, use your brain. Well, don't. Stop using your brain, everybody. Start using your heart. We do think here, we do process here, and we do something even more than that. We have a direct understanding of what is happening. When I sit now with a client and we're doing a shamanic session, I'm opening my heart wide. My heart opens my luminous field even wider. And when that client friend is sitting in front of me or is in the screen, I am feeling their HRV. And every time they speak of words or they speak of thoughts and they're telling me their story, I'm not listening to the words and projecting in my brain. I'm letting my heart feel that HRV and what it's telling my endocrine system. And where is the healing really needed? And how am I going to approach it? Maybe we do a cord cutting today and a fire ceremony, and maybe I want to follow up with a month of Tai Chi at Qigong. Whatever it is, it's going to change my client's physical reality. And it is from that place that I want to receive it, from my own physical reality, my HRV, to my brother, my sisters, my father, my son, wherever you are to me at any moment. I want to feel you from that place. Because my brain, as much as I may have studied and read and come from an academic family, is very, very, very limited. And I'll close with this joke. There's this joke written by Osho, for those of you who may know Osho, another great teacher, there was a lot of things said about Osho. I think he was a great guy. I think he was a mastermind. He said there was a moment that he brought together Socrates and Heraclitus. Sorry, I know the words, I know the names in Greek, trying to translate them. So Socrates and Heraclitus, Socrates and Heraclitus. And Heraclitus has opened this small hole in the sand. He's at the beach and he's about 6 feet away from the water, and he's opened this hole. And he has a spoon and he's going to the water and he's taking a spoonful of water and he's running to the hole and empties it in. And he's go back to the sea and takes a spoonful of water and goes back to the hole and empties it in. Socrates is approaching. He's watching this guy go back and forth. And he reaches and he said, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "You see the sea over here?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I'm going to take the sea with a spoon and I'm going to put it in this little hole." He says, "You are totally crazy." And he said, "Thank you. That's what I've been trying to tell you. The spoon over here is your words. The sea is the universe of knowledge. The spoon is the words, and this little hole is your brain. You're crazy if you feel that you can take all that knowledge and put it in this little hole. Use your heart. Use your intuition," said Heraclitus, because we are beings that feel our existence. Thought came later on, and it's kind of messed up things, really. So with that, with a little salt, grain of salt, with a little humor and a lot of love, thank you all. I hope this has been inspiring and maybe gave you some information you didn't have. I hope it inspires you to really live in your heart and try it out mechanically, kind of like widen your collarbones, step into a situation, even if someone's like being a little negative, and try to feel this brother and sister. Maybe you could feel into what's happening to them instead of taking it personally in your mind. Just feeling it out and give them a little more love. Thank you. Horpichai to all. Thank you. I'm honored to have seen you. Lots of love to everyone. Please do send emails if you have any questions. I think you all know training is starting November 14th, 15th. And I've also created some more Q&A sessions, information sessions. You'll find that on the website, or please reach out to us. This amazing team we've created is here to answer the questions. Grateful to all. Namaste. Let's close with just a 30-second meditation of dropping in as you close your eyes with your hands in your heart. Inhale your attention inside. Maybe even examining the sensation of your thumbs pressing your heart. Maybe even examining the sensation of that heartbeat in a new way. Leaning into your heart as a true shaman that will always tell you the truth. I'm grateful to all my teachers in this realm and in the realm of the spirit world. Grateful to all the gods and goddesses that bring gifts to the world, the saints that have walked and given us examples of how to be. Grateful to all my students, everyone on the Jaguar Path that supports, that creates the Jaguar Path, all of you. I invite you to bow to yourself, to thank yourself. Remember that you are the guru, you are the shaman and the healer. And bowing to any god or goddess that feel right to you. And gently inhale and rise. Namaste and Horbichai. A lot of love and appreciation. Thank you all. Namaste. Have a wonderful night.
Namaste. Thank you. Hi, Lena.
Hello. Thank you.
Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. Thank you.
For those of you who haven't reached out in Vermont, I'm going to reach out shortly.
I will be in touch.
I've been overwhelmed, my brothers and my sisters, so I'm now more and more present.
It's
Lots
a
of
cold
love.
day it's a cold day in Vermont, right? But it's warm here.
Good. Holding you in my heart all. Namaste.
Be well, be well.
Good night.